Life can be chaotic. If you're running a retail business, don't let disorganized order fulfillment add to the chaos. Use ShipStation instead. With ShipStation, you never have to worry about shipping and fulfillment again. Whether you're running a business out of your garage or you have multiple warehouses, ShipStation is ideal for every phase of your business's growth. Save time with one login for all your stores and by automating repetitive tasks. Plus, you'll save money with the best shipping rates from global carriers. ShipStation's industry-leading features help you deliver a better customer experience. They'll get accurate and faster shipments along with automated tracking updates with your branding. And with up to 88% off UPS and USPS rates and up to 90% off FedEx rates, ShipStation is the fastest and most affordable way to ship. Calm the chaos. Switch to ShipStation today. Start a free trial at shipstation.com/audio. That's shipstation.com/audio.
I'm Jennifer Garner. You may know me from my other job, but I'm a business owner too. Here at Once Upon a Farm, we chose the Capital One Venture X business card because it makes everything we do even more rewarding. With no preset spending limit, our purchasing power adapts to meet our business needs. And unlimited double miles on every purchase means we earn more too. And when we travel, we get access to over 1,300 airport lounges. The Capital One Venture X business card. What's in your wallet?
Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at CapitalOne.com/VentureXBusiness.
Welcome to the Dynasty Dugout Show, a podcast covering all things minor league baseball. Get a front row seat to the action with everything you need to know about the future stars of Major League Baseball. And now, here's your host, Chris Clegg.
Well, good morning. Welcome to the show. It's the Dynasty Dugout Show, Friday, March 8th. Day to talk baseball. We have almost made it to the weekend. It's Friday. There's baseball on TV today. Spring training is in full swing, and what a better day to talk baseball. We're going to talk the Giants farm system today, but we're going to talk a little bit of spring training action from yesterday first. See, it was a smaller slate of games, but we did see some things to note, including Parker Meadows, who might just be a major breakout this year. Parker Meadows looks very, very good so far. I am very encouraged by what I've seen from him. He's shown good power. He clocked a 30 per second sprint speed to first base on a single yesterday, which is elite sprint speed. So you look at that, and I mean, I know obviously you've seen the power and speed from last year. He had 22 homers. He stole 27 bases between AAA and the majors. Make strong contact, 76% overall in the minors last year. Similar contact rate in the majors, but the zone contact was 87.5%. Looking at a leadoff hitter who can steal your bags, get hit for power, and he's going to get on base a lot. Those might just be a guy. I was very encouraged by Christian Javier's velocity being up, and I know it was 3 innings, but he threw 57 pitches. So to see velocity still sitting near 94, which is what it was during his prime seasons, I thought was really encouraging. He did have a couple of misses. He missed a pitch on Jordan Walker, who would have bombed. Matt Carpenter hit another home run off of him. Overall, he had a 42% whiff rate on 26 swings and a 39% CSW. So those things were encouraging there with Christian Javier. Andy Ibanez continues to rake. Like, what kind of role he has in Detroit, I don't really know, but he had the 2 hardest hit balls of the game with the Tigers and Yankees. And he's a sneaky versatility type guy. He can play multiple spots. He plays all around the infield. He plays some outfield. So all those things are very encouraging for Ibanez, who may find some kind of role. He did get 383 plate appearances last year, in which he hit 11 home runs. So I think that there's an opportunity for Ibanez to find some time. Ronaldo Lopez and Bryce Elder continue to duke it out for the 5th spot, both through 3 innings. Both look pretty solid. Elder gave up hard contact. He struck out 6. Ronaldo Lopez struck out 4, walked 1 without a hit over 3 innings. I just believe the Elder is just more of an innings eater type. You need him, but I certainly think that Lopez and A.J. Smith-Shawver will probably pass him. We'll see what happens there, but hopefully this battle is going to be interesting to follow and see. So it was a smaller slate of games. There's another guy that we will talk about that's in this system. So let's go ahead and get to him and break it down. Let's get to the Giants. Start with Kyle Harrison, who did pitch last night. He was cruising before the rain started pouring during that game. They had to call the game early. Harrison was pitching extremely well. He had struck out 6 through 2 and 2/3 innings, allowed 2 hits and no walks, which is notable. He had not allowed a walk until the rain came pouring. He had 2 straight walks on 8 total pitches, 4 pitch walks each time. I mean, it was raining pretty heavy, so it was kind of clear at that point the game needed to be called. I thought his arsenal was pretty impressive. He was flipping the fastball up. He was throwing the slider. It looked good as well. Harrison's an interesting one because there are some questions about the stuff players don't love Harrison's arsenal. But I thought that he did some things extremely well last year. He was squeezed a lot in the minors. He was pitching in AAA where the ABS system was. And the results were certainly a mixed bag. We saw the walk rates be extremely high. And I do wonder if a lot of that was kind of contributed to the ABS system. I don't think there's anyone that's ever debated, his stuff. The fastball is good. Like last year, it set 94, gets up to 98. He throws it from a really hard to pick up release point, a very low vertical approach angle, which is really good. Something that I like to see. And he can miss bats with the slider or the fastball, which is encouraging. The slider, another really good pitch. We're looking at a ton of sweeping action. It's a 2-plane break. It's kind of a slurvy pitch in a way. It's in the lower 80s. It gets like 10 inches of sweeping action regularly, 45 inches of drop. So it's a bat missing pitch. Look at that. And between the fastball and the slurve, those are his most used pitches. He will throw a changeup on occasion. I think the changeup's a pretty good pitch. I think he should use it more often. We're looking at like 18 inches of fading action, which is just absurd. Like that would be some of the most horizontal movement of each changeup in the majors, which is crazy to say, but that's where it is. The stuff is there. Harrison can miss bats. We saw him debut. He got 34 last year. And ultimately, this year he's primed to pitch regularly in the majors. We'll see what the results are like, how many innings can he throw. That's another thing. He's kind of been held back in a way where they haven't fully let him go. He was throwing 3 to 4 innings to start. He did build up. He was looking a little more durable last year in the majors when he did come up. But I still think there's question marks. I think this thing can go 2 different ways. Harrison certainly has the ability to be like a high strikeout mid-rotation arm that probably shows some volatility. He also could end up in the pen. I think that they certainly want him to be a starter long term. There's no questioning that. But I think that Harrison will handle being a starter. Just can you stomach the walk rates? That's really the biggest question for me is can you stomach those walk rates for him in fantasy? You're probably going to get a higher win. But here has kind of comped him to like Robbie Ray, who has shown a lot of volatility throughout his career, and now they're teammates. So that's a lot of fun. That's the profile we have with Al Harrison. It's still a mixed bag. He's still young. I still think we can see him figure this thing out. He's shown plenty of talent in the past. Let's go to Bryce Eldridge, who is no longer a two-way player. He was drafted that way. He was honestly a lot of fun. I thought he had the ability to be a two-way guy, but the Giants have now decided to make him just a hitter, which probably for the best. Very few can be successful being a two-way player in this day and age. Shohei Ohtani is the rare exception. Think about the guys over the years that tried. I mean, Brendan McKay's career is like completely derailed at this point, which is sad. He's somehow still hanging on to prospect eligibility, just barely. But it's hard for guys to be a two-way, and it worked. So ultimately, Eldridge bat can be really, really good. So I look at Bryce Eldridge and say this was the move. look, he hit the ball hard last year. I mean, his average EV was one of the best in the minors last year. I know it was a small sample, but 92.5 miles an hour is really, really encouraging. He contact, but he's a big frame. He's a 6'7" guy. So I really wondered, like, where would the contact fall? But he had good contact. I thought it was pretty impressive for his size. He showed really low chase rates, posting a 20% chase rate. I thought was also pretty encouraging for him when you're like, okay, this guy can expand the zone really easily with these long levers, but he didn't. So Eldridge might just be one that could really take off just being a bat. Maybe he plays a corner outfield. He's probably a first baseman. You look at his profile, and I'm pretty intrigued by what Bryce Eldridge brings to the table. This year will be a big year for him. He is going to have to make strides. And I think he makes strides in like the top 25 prospect rankings. This is a really good bat. I mean, last year, hit 294, 400, 505 with 6 homers in 31 games. Also had doubles. So I look at Bryce Eldridge, and I really like the profile as a bat. The next guy I want to talk about is Walker Martin, who has not debuted yet, but we will see him in spring breakout next weekend, which I'm pumped about. I know Walker Martin's been in minor league, but now we'll get to see him in game action. And this is a guy that I am super excited about. If you followed me any bit, you know I love Walker Martin. Walker Martin is an incredible athlete. He does everything extremely well. We're talking about a kid who was a stud quarterback in high school, 3-time state champion, 41 touchdowns his senior season, led his basketball team in scoring and rebounding junior season. And he mashed 20 home runs last year with a 636 batting average as a prep. Yes, Colorado prep baseball, probably not the best, but this is a kid who's a freaky good athlete. He broke the Loden Sports scale athletic testing for like a 10. It's like the peak. This guy was an 11 athlete, stellar athlete. He was a little bit older for the class, which I think gave some concerns, but this was a first-round talent for sure, who ultimately just he fell a little bit, and he signed an overslot deal with the Giants. I think this is a guy that the Giants had their eye on the whole time, and they were able to work a deal with Eldridge and Martin. I think they were absolutely ecstatic. I would have been too, to get both of those guys. So Walker Martin's a tough one to really put an eval on because we really haven't seen him in any professional action, and we're going to see a very small sample in spring breakout. So let's put a lot of stock into that. But Martin is a really good bat. He's a really good athlete. He's got a decent glove short too. So I think this kind of profile is one that I kind of want to bet on and just see where it goes. So in FYPD drafts, I've got a lot of Walker Martin shares. I'm curious to see what this season holds. But Walker Martin is one that I do want to take a shot on. So I'm following him very closely and believing that he could be one that really, really takes off. On the flip side, this guy's kind of fallen a bit. Marco Luciano signed back in 2018 for $2.6 million. He was one of the top international players. He posted some incredible exit velocities. He had 119 exit velocities, an 18-year-old in an Instructs game, which is crazy. The power's always been there. Always posted high-end exit velocities. Always had 30 home run pop. He is one that you look at, and you're very excited about the power potential. I mean, last year, he had 109 mile-an-hour 9th percentile exit velocity, which is high-end. He had average exit velocity of 92, also impressive. The plate approach, skills, those things are concerning. Like the contact, 75% in zone, which is atrocious, 67% overall. Like 30 grade contact numbers. The good news is he does take a walk. The WP skills are there. Chase just 20% of pitches out of the zone. So with Luciano, you're looking at a bat that certainly has the power. He has the OBP skills. He's going to play up there. In a batting average league, he certainly hinders you a bit. He's one that I'm still a bit concerned about, especially when I've seen him live. He hasn't always impressed me. He's I don't want to throw like bad comps on players, but like to me, like in the fall league, he didn't look to give a lot of effort. Maybe he didn't want to be there. It had been a long season for him. So I understand those things, like for guys that just don't want to be in the AFL. But it was very evident to me that Marco Luciano had really zero desire to be there in the fall league that year he was there. And that kind of left an impression on me. Right or wrong, I was a little discouraged by that. But I still think Luciano is going to get every chance to be the Giants' shortstop this year. I think he's going to play regularly. They're going to give him a shot. He's still young. The power is still there. So this is a bat that maybe you take a chance on buying low on. Maybe the contact skills do come around. And if they do, this can be a pretty impressive bat. I mean, the power is legit. So I'm intrigued to see what Luciano becomes, especially in the majors this year, as he will play pretty regularly. Let's keep rolling through the system. Got a couple questions about some names we will hit on. So we'll get that Hey Bird Song question from you, Zach. We'll hit on him in just a minute. But Carson Wisenhunt, big lefty out of ECU. He missed his junior year's draft year at ECU due to PED expulsion, I guess you say, suspension. He calls his stock to take a little hit, but he was still drafted in the second round by the Giants. 2023, really strong debut for him. It's in single A, went to double A, posted a 2.45 ERA across 3 levels with 83 strikeouts and 23 walks. But his season unfortunately ended in July with an elbow strain. He's supposed to be ready pitched by opening day. We shall see what happens there. The changeup, the red here, big lefty with a big changeup. I mean, the changeup 6 miles an hour. It has full depth. It's one of those that just falls off last minute. Wisenhunt arguably has one of the best changeups in the minors. Pitch average 17 inches of fade. He missed a ton of bats. He throws plenty of strikes with it too. The fastball shape ultimately, I think, lags behind a bit. It sits low to mid 90s. He can get to 95 depending on the start. It does have some decent IBB numbers, and it's from a tough slot to pick up. Like his release point is tough to pick up. He generates whiffs when he's locating it well, but the shape is just kind of so-so. I'd like to see some tweaks with that. Here's the problem. He throws the fastball and changeup nearly 90% of the time. When he does throw a curveball, it's primarily lefties. It's kind of inconsistent with shape and commands. You will need to throw it for more strikes. Wisenhunt has a lot of upside if a third pitch develops. Typically, I worry about these changeup first guys. We talked about one yesterday with Drew Thorpe. We've seen that with Gavin Stone. These changeup first dominant guys can beat up on hitters at the lower levels. But sometimes they struggle against major leagues if they don't have a good secondary other than changeup to get swings and misses from. And that's kind of my fear if Wisenhunt does not develop a third pitch. The fastball maybe ticks up or he tweaks the shape of it just a little bit. I'd watch this pretty closely to see what happens, and we shall see with Carson Wisenhunt. Let's go to the next guy, Rainer Arias. Arias is a bat who signed out of the Dominican last year, DSL bat, $2.6 million. He was dominant in the DSL in a small sample, but he's 414, 40, 793 with 4 homers and 12 extra bases. He's very patient. He's explosive lower half, generates easy power. He's that I really, really like to take off this year. Fortunately, he had ended his DSL season early. That kind of hurt his stock a little bit. I think he was his top 100 guy. If he had not gotten injured, this is a guy who I think this year comes stateside. He's on the spring breakout roster, which is awesome. He's healthy. He's ready to go. And ultimately, I think that he could really take off. It's one that I would watch pretty close this year because I love the profile of Rainer Arias. You look at the athleticism, he's 6'2", 185. He's got power, he's got some speed. He doesn't chase often out of the zone. I like investing in this kind of profile. I think that this is the kind of profile you invest in. It could really be worth your while. Let's go to the next guy, Victor Barricado. Very underrated profile in this system. He is consistently a strong performer. He spent his age 21 season last year between high A and double A. Hit 27 homers. He slashed 272, 329, 511. He's an aggressive hitter. Swung at 50% of pitches that he saw. But he put a lot of balls in play. He had enough contact, right around minor league average at 71.5%. The strikeout rate is respectable at 22%. He certainly plays down a little bit in the OBP league because of his aggressive nature. But the power is really good. He hit 27 home runs. The exit velocities were good. He checked in with a 107 mile an hour, 90th percentile. I'm very excited about Victor Barricado. I think that this guy, not enough people are talking about. He's one where the power is good. The contact skills are fine. I'd look to get him in the Dynasty League because nobody's really talking about him other than Nate Handy, who's really been in on him. This profile is really, really good. I think he could be up sooner than later. Barricado, a 22-year-old outfielder, really, really good pop. Excited about him. There's some intriguing arms in this system, too. Talk about Mason Black. He was a third rounder out of Lehigh University. He was a very successful college pitcher, but he's really taken things up a notch in the majors. In the minors. He pitched a career high 123 innings in 2023. He posted a 3.71 ERA with 155 strikeouts. He features a mid-90s fastball. It's up to 98. It's a low release height with a great vertical approach angle. He locates it well at the top of the zone, and he misses baskets. So you look at this profile, it's already got a good fastball that kind of sets up everything. It has late horizontal movement that sets everything up. He's comfortable throwing it to lefties and righties. He gets whiffs from both. The cutter was a new pitch he threw in 2023, at least when he can use it often. It gave him a nice bridge between the fastball and the sweeper, and he throws the changeup as well. Kind of inconsistent, but four-pitch guy, fastball slider with a new cutter, and I think this is a starter long-term. The strike throwing is kind of a question mark, but when you look at the profile, this guy's ready to step in the rotation. The Giants have some availability in the rotation with Mason Black. I think he could step in pretty soon. I'd watch out for him this year as one that could really take off. We did have a question about Hayden Birdsong, and now we're here to talk about him. I like Birdsong a lot. Sixth rounder out of Eastern Illinois. He had a really good first full season in 2023. He made it from single A all the way to double A by season's end. And between three levels, he pitched to 100, or he had 100 innings. He had 3.31 ERA with 149 strikeouts. The fastball is a heavy use pitch here, between 55 and 65% usage, depending on the start. It's a mid-90s pitch. He gets a lot of ride up in the zone, like 18 to 20 inches of IVB. That's very, very good. He hides the pitches very well, and he keeps hitters on their toes. The fastball plays up really well, even though it's already a good pitch. The deception, hiding that pitch. Birdsong has a really good fastball. The sweepy slider gets really late horizontal movement. It's a ton of bat missing ability. Like, gets chased in the zone. You watch it, and it just like kind of tunnels the fastball and it falls off the map. I really love this slider. And he pairs it with a curveball that gets more downward movement. Sometimes he hangs the curve in the middle of the zone. That's when he's gotten in trouble. But when he buries it down, I think it's average or better offering. Changeup, not thrown very often at all. I think that's a pitch that he could further develop that would enhance his ability. But ultimately, This guy could be a starter. He's got a starter frame at 6'4", 215. There's plenty of projection left and room to add strength. This guy was a reliever in college. He only made 7 starts in college, 34 relief appearances. He's shown he can handle a starter's workload. There's still questions about whether he will be a starter long term, but I think that is a potential outlook here with Hayden Birdsong. So Birdsong is a solid buy for me. He's an intriguing starter and one to keep a really close eye on this year as to what the Giants do with him. As is this guy, one of the more underrated arms in this system. That's Trevor McDonald. McDonald, 11th rounder way back in 2019. He was a prep guy that signed in the later rounds. He got 4 innings in his draft year in 2019. He missed 2020 due to the pandemic. He looked a bit rusty out of the gate in 2021. But then in 2022, kind of pieced things together. And the last 2 years have been really, really good. In 2022, he had a 2.31 ERA with 120 strikeouts. And then this year, just 47 innings, but a 1.33 ERA with 51 strikeouts and 11 walks. It's a solid 3-pitch mix, produces high ground ball rates and misses bats. Fastball sits in the mid-90s with plenty of sinking action. It has 16 inches of outside run, so a really good sinker there. Curveball sits in the lower 80s. It's a 2-plane break pitch. It's downward movement. It gets sweeping action. It's his best swing and miss pitch. Produced a whiff rate north of 40% last year with a ton of chase out of the zone. He also features a changeup, mostly going to left-handed batters, but it actually does play really well off the seam. So I really like this pitch too. Good pitch mix. Jared McDonald, massively underrated. The strike throwing ability improved. His zone rate improved. I think this is a good chance for him to stay as a starter. 2024 will be a very telling year for him. So watch very closely what Trevor McDonald does. This is this guy, Averson Arteaga, shortstop, 21 years old, signed for $1 million back in 2018. Obviously, he did not debut until 2021 due to the pandemic. This guy's performances were really good early on, and he was one that I thought could really break out. And while the breakout has not quite fully happened yet from a statistical standpoint, he does a lot of things well that he could potentially rise up boards. We're talking about a guy that makes good inside contact. To balance out his rather aggressive nature, he does chase a lot out of the zone. He swings a lot too. But ultimately, he's one to watch out for. His power has improved. He's seen a tick up. 2 miles an hour last year, improvement in his percentile exit velocity. Was right at MLB average last year. Really encouraging from a prospect who's a little slow. But Arteaga has all the potential in the world. If he can kind of curb the chase rates a little bit, we'll see what he can do. But I like this profile a good bit. This is this guy, kind of the polar opposite. Wade Meckler. The exact opposite profile in the sense that he's a deep contact guy, very passive. He doesn't chase. There's questions about the power. What kind of fantasy profile are you looking at? If you're looking for a high floor hitter, Wade Meckler is exactly your guy. Between 83 games between AA last year, /371, 456, 510. Got a shot in the majors, spent 20 games there, and the numbers were a little bit disappointing, but it was good for him to get his feet wet. He chases at a low clip, 16% chase rate, which is absurdly good, very, very low. He's a selective hitter, swung at just 37% of pitches, 3% overall contact. Very, very good. The question is with the power. He had an 85 mile-an-hour average exit velocity last year, which is pretty low. His max was incredibly low too. He's an average clock-timed runner, so like 50 grade speed. But he did still 13 bases on 17 attempts. I don't actually see stolen bases being a big part of Wade Meckler's game long term. The contact is the carrying tool here. He's going to make a ton of contact. But I think there's less of a fantasy appeal due to the fact that he does not hit for much power. He really is not going to have a lot of speed. I think he's maybe like a home run, 10 base bat, but he does hit for average. He will get on base. It could be a 300 hitter on some seasons that gets on base at a near 400 clip, which is enticing. So a deeper kind of cut profile for dynasty and fantasy purposes, the one that plays up for real life as well. Let's get back to some pitchers. Talk a little bit. Joe Whitman, a lefty that they drafted this year. He was actually a reliever at Purdue before transferring to Kent State, where he became a really dominant starter. Very well-rounded profile. He has got a really good fastball slider combo. Big lefty at 6'5". Fastball sits 92, 93, but touches 96. He averaged 18 inches of IQ last year in college, so it's a very high-riding pitch. It's good carry. It plays well at the top of the zone. And it had 13 inches of horizontal movement as well. The slider, most dominant pitch, it had a 40% whiff rate while it stayed as a starter. Sits in the lower 80s. It's a lot of sweeping action, very high spin pitch. The changeup he didn't use all that often in college, but he didn't need to. But it's one that I think he will need to further refine in order for him to increase his efficiency as a starter. If the changeup further develops with Whitman, I think you're looking at a high strike throwing, back end type starting pitcher. Interesting profile. I think the Giants had a good find here with Whitman, as they did with this next guy, Landon Roop, an underrated find out of UNC Wilmington, a 12-pounder in 2021. They just do really well finding arms, and this is exactly what they've done here. He's pitched a high level his entire pro career, having a 2.40 ERA across 146 innings. After a strong start in Double-A last year, his season ended on June 30th, unfortunately, unspecified injury. Over those 10 starts, he did throw just 31 innings, so a little over 3 innings to start, in a 1.74 ERA, 42 strikeouts, and 9 walks. His 92 to 93 mile an hour fastball is a sinker, running action. He gets a lot of ground balls. And his go-to bat missing pitch is his curve. A plus or better offering, sitting high 70s, low 80s. Gets sweeping action, has good depth as well. High spinner. He actually used it more often than the fastball over the last 2 seasons, which is interesting. He does not throw the slider or change often. I'd like to see him use those 2 pitches a little bit more. I think there's a little risk here. It was a kind of a platoon heavy split profile. His slash against righties, 117, 182, 183, but lefty slash 319, 407, 426. So Roop will be interesting to watch this year. Is he a starter? Is he a reliever? We shall see. We just want to see him healthy. That's the biggest thing with Landon Roop. Diego Velasquez, a young shortstop, spent his 19-year-old season in Single-A. He compiled a 298, 387, 434 slash. He had 8 home runs and 23 stolen bases. It's a strong contact profile. He made contact on 78% of pitches that he saw last year. Switch hitter is efficient from both sides. Strong OPS from both. Over 800 from both sides. Yeah, he did not hit for a ton of power in a hitter-friendly environment. And I think he's going to need to fill out his frame a little more. He's listed at 150 pounds. So we will need to see Velasquez kind of put on a little bit of weight. He did show good speed. He stole 3 bases on 29 attempts. He's really athletic in the field. So the question is, if Velasquez does add weight and adds a little more power, does the speed and athleticism tick down? I think that's still kind of to be determined with him. I'll be curious to watch and see what he does. This next guy, former two-way guy, now just a pitcher. We saw him honestly look really good in the AFL with the bat. Crawford is a big athletic guy. I saw him hit some balls really hard, but now he's just going to focus on pitching. I think he's probably a reliever long term. That's kind of what I see in the profile. Just His strike throwing ability has kind of been a question mark. Stuff's really good. Unfortunately, he had TJ in college. He missed a lot of time. And it's kind of been a slow process for him getting back on the mound. But with Crawford, I think that the fastball can play really well out of the bullpen. Mid to upper 90s, touches 99, low release height. The slider has nice breaking action as well. He will throw a changeup, but it's still inconsistent. Off. You look, talent upside, I think, is a lot to dream on. But as a pitcher, I think he's probably just a reliever. So take that as you will for fantasy purposes. I'm curious to see how this profile plays out. Do they try him as a starter? I think we'll see. I'm watching this guy pretty closely because he does have the stuff to be a really good back-end reliever. A couple other guys to hit on before we get out of here. Guillermo Williamson, he was an international signee out of Mexico in the 2021 class. Big power bat, DSL in the complex the last 2 years. He's an extra base hit machine. Contact issues are a concern. Posting a strikeout rate of 29% between the DSL and the complex. That's a little bit concerning. Power's legit. He's one that we need to kind of see a little bit more of stateside. If he can make more contact, okay. I think this is an intriguing corner infield because we know the power is there. We've seen it. We've seen him put up good exit velocities. The frame's really good for power, but he make enough contact. Jairo Pomares is one that was mentioned in the chat by Sam. Is there any interest in this profile still? He's an interesting one. I think that we just see him healthy. That's really the biggest thing. And he comes back and he looks healthy. And okay, I think there may be some intrigue here. Pomares has been an interesting guy in the past. He dealt with a quad injury last year. It kind of hampered him a little bit. And he just didn't get as much time as we thought he would. But in the past, he's been someone that's really intrigued. Getting back to 2021, a really good season. He hit 20 home runs. He slashed 334, 378, 629. And then in 2022, again, another solid season with 17 home runs. The batting average ticked down a little bit. Pomares does still have some intrigue. He's just 23 years old, which you think he's too old to be a prospect now. He's one that I still like a decent bit if he bounces back and shows health. So we'll keep an eye on Jairo Pomares pretty closely because I think that there is still some potential there. Other guys to hit on, Grant McCray. He's an interesting one. The contact skills really aren't there, but he's a guy that's stolen bases in a high clip. 52 stolen bases in 2023 and 43 in 2022. The power took a step back last year. He hit 23 homers in 2022, but just 14 in 2023. He's a pretty disciplined hitter. He doesn't chase out of the zone often, but the contact rates are pretty hit and miss. Contact rates were pretty low last year, 65%, pretty bad. Struck out a 29% clip. 103 mile an hour, 9th percentile. So power, speed, no contact with Grant McCray. That's my biggest concern with him. Another similar profile of like a Vaughn Brown type. Like, what can Vaughn Brown be? McCray and Brown were guys in 2022 that we were like, okay, these profiles look fantasy friendly. And then last year wasn't so great. He hit 242 with just 9 homers, but he just had 251 plate appearances. So he did miss a little time there. Vaughn Brown, a little bit of an older prospect, could be 26 pretty soon. But keep a close eye on Brown and, what he can do because he's shown some intriguing stuff in the past. A couple of these this year that they had in 2023. Maui Ahuna, he transferred from Kansas to Tennessee, and he was pretty good at Kansas, but he took a step back last year at Tennessee. Still flashed 312, 425, 537 with 8 homers, but the contact skills were what regressed. Still, he showed good plate discipline. He had 22% chase rate, which is really low. But the contact, just 62% of the time, that's not good at all. And 77% in zone. The exit velocities at Tennessee, 88 miles an hour average and 104 mile an hour, 9th percentile. So he's probably looking at, a little bit below average power, maybe with what he gets to average power. We'll see. And Cole Foster, who was a third rounder out of Auburn, another SEC draftee. He was a guy that had a major power breakout, and that carried over professionally, 13 home runs in 55 pro games. And ultimately, he had some very intriguing things, like I like in the profile. Yeah, he had 7 home runs as a pro after 13 at Auburn. Some really good stuff. The concerning thing, strikeouts. He struck out 32% of the time upon debuting. His tools at Auburn, lower chase rate, good zone contact. The exit velocities pretty solid. So keep a close eye on Cole Foster. Got a question about Idris Sanchez, who's a big power international signee. I'm watching him pretty closely. Obviously, I think there's some intriguing things to like in this profile. He moves pretty well behind the plate. He can get to some pop. So he's one that potentially could take off. He is a kind of bigger guy, like pretty bulky, looks like he hit for some power, but he still moves well despite that. Looks a little older than he is, but these guys, you never really know their age. But I think that Sanchez does have some intrigue. He's a guy to watch pretty closely. And there's a lot of these guys that do come out with the pop, and he could be one where he shows good power. And ultimately, I like him a decent bit. He signed for $1.4 million. And they also have another guy named Johnny Level who signed for $1 million. He's a very high contact bat. And I also like, and I think you should keep a close eye on there. A couple arms real quick. Carson Ragsdale, I still like, and Carson Seymour. Both these arms, I think, are pretty underrated. So I would watch out for both of those guys. I think they could be pretty intriguing arms, and they're guys that could be a little closer to the majors. And this is kind of what the Giants need. Carson Ragsdale and Carson Seymour. Scott Bandura, outfielder, pretty interesting draftee. Smaller school that he's at Princeton, but he posted some really good data that I liked in college ball. So keep a close eye on Scott Bandura. This is a pretty good wrap of the system. I know Will Bednar is one that's like, what happened to Will Bednar? He is a weird profile where he was so good. Like, he led Mississippi State to a College World Series title. 14th overall pick. He's just completely fallen off, which is just really strange. He hasn't been healthy at all. I think health's the biggest factor here. I mean, professionally, he's pitched 60 total innings after being drafted in 2021. He threw 92 innings at Mississippi State in 2021 alone. We're looking at a sample of now 2.5 seasons for him, where he's pitched way less than he did in one collegiate season at Mississippi State. So I think health is a big factor for Bednar, but ultimately, I hope he bounces back. I want the best for Will Bednar. We shall see. But ultimately, it's tough to watch what's happened to him. I think that's going to wrap us up. It's Friday morning. Thanks for hanging out with us. I appreciate each and every one of you. Hope you all have a great weekend, and we will see you next Monday.
If you're running a retail business, don't let disorganized order fulfillment cause chaos. Use ShipStation instead. From running a business out of your garage to multiple warehouses, ShipStation is ideal for every phase of your growth. Save time with one login for all your stores and by automating tasks. Plus, you'll get the best shipping rates from global carriers. Calm the chaos with the shipping software that delivers. Start a free trial at shipstation.com/audio. That's shipstation.com/audio.